Good afternoon from Area 51 Raceway. So I'm here today to talk about tools. I got an email about what grub screw sizes are on, certain gears for this and that. So I answered the email to the gentleman that did, responded to him. So I figured to go over what I use for tools. I know Harry probably has a lot more tools than I do because, he's got a bigger area. But I'll go over kind of the things that I have here that I use and what I recommend you should get. And Harry, if you're out there listening, if you need to add anything into this, please do. So as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff here. Really, to start off, if you want to build a chassis, of course you got to get the most important piece is the soldering block, and that's available from Slot Car Corner. Of course, they're $16.99 I think on their website. And then they also have the pins, which I didn't know. But you could also use brad nails, as I believe Harry's mentioned also on one of his videos that he's doing a build on. So that's one important thing you'll need. Another thing you'll need is the flux. I used the Stay Clean Flux. It's a big jar, bottle that this will last me a long time. And then your soldering wire will be right here, 60/40 I believe this is. Of course, you get this from Amazon if you need to. And this is all you really need if you're gonna start thinking that silver solder is what you need. I have silver solder. I've used it. You need a lot more heat to melt it, and it's really not necessary for what we're doing. We're not building drag chassis, which those they shoot them out at 100 miles an hour, and then slop them into a pillow. So there's no need for it. 60/40 rosin solder core solder is good enough. And then you'll need paste flux, because when you're doing the leads and everything, your wires, you want to use paste flux. Another thing that you will need for sure is the setup block, and that's from Slot Car Corner as well. That's real important. And you get yourself a small simple ruler, or if you get a different style, this is the one I use, is like a hobby ruler. I think they're pretty nice. One important thing when you're doing cutting, like if you're starting to get into piano wire chassis, is these big Bama Jammas, like Harry says, and then you have a little cousin of them right here. These I got from Lowe's. They're Craftsman. They really bend really easily, and these cut that piano wire that's that you need to cut, and it also bends brass real nicely. I've tried the Mark ones. I have them. They're really okay, but honestly, these are better. You don't need the Mark ones because they're expensive. I kind of wasted money on that, and I don't really even use them. But these are sufficient enough. Then the things that I was emailed about was the Krebs screw, hexes here, little tools. So you need a 0.9 and a 1.3 is typically what I use. The 0.9 is for the 3/32 crown gear, and they're also for the wheels that you use for, got the wrong one, for 3/32 axles. You see right there, that's the one. And then when you're doing 1/8 is when you need the 1.3, because that's the grub screw for that size there, for these for that gear. And this is the two common tools, and they are available at Slot Car Corner as well. I would get these are exactly common ones. As you can see, here's the wheels I got right here, and this uses a 0.9 grub screw on these little wheels here for 1/32, and then they use the 1.3 on the other wheels, which is these ones right here. Let me get them out. I wasn't prepared for that. So like this size right here, that's where you would need the 1.3. This will fit in here perfectly, and that's what you need there. So apart from pulling gears and installing gears on your pinion, this is a little, I've had this for a while, but this will be fine. But I would suggest getting the one that Slot Car Corner does from Slot Invasion, and this is a puller and a press as well, so it's a 2-in-1 tool. Works real well. I like it. The only thing is that if you go too hard with these, it's got Loctite in here, and the Loctite will come off. But there's an end there for an Allen head, So you could put an Allen head and actually just push it in that way, because this right here kind of, you can see the Loctite kind of broke off. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a good tool. It's just the Loctite came loose, you know, because I put too much pressure in it. I think a gear wasn't going in well, so that was on me. But there's also a little Allen head you could put in here, and then it'll still be effective. It's just the handle won't. It'll stop. It'll twist on the thread. So, but it's a good tool. I recommend it. A pin vise is very good to have. This is for drilling small holes, and then I would recommend getting this from, like, you know, this is a cheap one from, I think I got this from Walmart, and it gives you, these are typically the sizes that, you know, pretty much you'll be dealing with. 16, 5 to 1/8, you know, that's fine. Then you have a bigger one. This is a nice little set, something simple, not real expensive. Next thing I would consider getting is files. These could be had from, you know, from anywhere. So these little files, you know, rat tail file, flat file, angle file, bastard file, they call them, or whatnot. Different kinds of files there. Little hobby files is what they are. And then, you know, getting a set of marking pens, you know, fine point, and then the other type of Sharpie as well. These are good for detailing your body as well, but they're good for marking on your brass if you need to cut, you know, mark areas to cut. Another one that I do use is the tubing cutter when I do cut the 8130 for the axle. You could use a saw if you want. I just use this, and then I just kind of, you know, clean it up, because it does get rounded out, because you're actually cutting it and kind of making like a, how would you say, you're making it to where it's to where it has like an edge that you need to remove, so that, you know, your bushing will fit in there. That's from the effects of cutting. This is a good tool. Good thing to have is a cheap set of paintbrushes if you want to use it to paint your flux on, you know, use your flux to dab it onto your bushings or what you're soldering. And they're good for other things too, small detailing. Then cheap glue. I wouldn't get a nice big tube of glue like this one, for example. This started drying out, and I mean, it goes to waste, and Harry has mentioned that. Don't get a large tube of stuff, get small things, because over time they do dry up. So this is super cheap, you know, $1 from Walmart, you get 4 of them. If one takes a crap, you dump it, you get another one. It's better this way instead of getting a huge tube of it. As far as, you know, other stuff like this silicone soldering mat is from Amazon. You could get these, and what this is that you could actually solder on this if you wanted to. You know, solder other things if you don't need a jig, because it will take the heat and it won't do anything to it because it's silicone. Other tools like, you know, little screwdrivers, like, you know, Phillips or a flathead. I would recommend getting those too. These are 2 that I've had for a while, and then these are other ones that I've had also. Here's a flathead, you know, for small stuff. It's just good little things to have. This particular one right here, this is a 1.5. I actually got this for my Revo slot, but there are some instances where you may be using this. It just depends, maybe rare, but it's good to have it for your other slot cars if you have some with bigger grub screws. But another good tool. Get that in slot car corner. Another good thing to have is these little organization little drawers also to keep your parts, as long as you keep that snapped in there, otherwise everything will fly off. But it's nice to have this so you can separate your, you know, axle spacers, your body screws, your bushings, assorted things. I use them. I have this, you know, again, marked here for my, how would you say, the gears, you know, what pitch they are, how many teeth they are, little tangs for my lead guides, you know, spacers for the guide, and then the glide nuts, and then more, you know, motor screws, and then these are more body screws but smaller, and those are the eyelets for those slotting plus ones, and the screws for them for the different type of guides. And I have another one here, and this is all the axle spacers, 1/8, and then the guide spacers here, you know, 10,000s, 4,000s, 15,000s, and then there's some 3/32 axle spacers there as well. So it really comes in handy to have this to keep it more organized, because these little parts will go flying everywhere. Trust me, you get one and it flings all over the place, and you're sitting there trying to look for it, especially on a carpet. I would recommend that. As far as, you know, a small table, this is it. Area 51 isn't a real big area. This is actually inside a closet, and I'll move the camera and you'll see what I mean, is that this is exactly what it is. It's a closet, and it's got a bunch of stuff in here. and then the track is right out here. So I originally had it over there in the corner with that window, but I decided to move everything here because it seems like it's nice to shut these doors and it doesn't look as messy having, you know, a little table there with a bunch of stuff. But I mean, there's also these which are handy, which are from Walmart. You get them wall mounted and you can put your parts in there. Maybe when you're assembling a car, you want to put the parts in here, and then you have all the parts in here for the car you're working on, and you just leave them in there instead of having them all out all over the place. And this is messy because I'm just showing you all the tools. And then this little magnifying light, you don't need this, but nice to have it. And then I have a table vise. This is kind of come in handy. This is from Amazon too, and you can just clamp it onto the table, and it's a small vise. Little drawers like this from Walmart as well, which keeps all your little things and stuff. And then this is like basically a bookcase, and it's got the tire truer in there and a bunch of stuff. Then I just put some shelves. I mean, there's ways of doing stuff to organize your area. This is semi-organized, I guess. It's better than what it was, but everything's there. I know where it is, and I can get to it. I'm sorry about the poor lighting, but I have the light off in the room. But I just want to go over the tools. Just, you know, if you're trying to figure out what tools to get, I would just start small, and then as you know, increase your knowledge of building and building more, then you start buying more supplies. Like I have here, a lot of piano wire, brass, parts. You know, I have it all out here. Just, you know, if I need it, I could grab it, and I know what I need to inventory and what I need to, you know, use and stuff. And I got more stuff down there. A little disorganized, you know, right now, but it's I need to get more hangers to hang stuff. But it's a small area, but I'm just going over again tools, just letting you know what tools are what you need. Of course, that looks like a huge mess, but this is kind of like an idea where you could go with, and then you could do a little at a time, and you select tools that you want that works for you. Again, this is not saying that this is the end all and be all. You get what works for you. So, but that's it. I just thought I'd share that with you, and you guys take care and have fun racing as always.